and I also affiliated with crop science and environmental engineering. And today I'm very honored to present here, and the content that I will talk about is related to some of the work that we recently doing at our lab related to field level modeling and remote sensing work. And we are very honored and very lucky to be sponsored by NREC. And so let me get started. I will give a little bit background about my lab. My lab is actually trying to integrate fieldwork, remote sensing, as well as models all together. The fieldwork that we are doing is sort of specific. We are not doing trials at the traditional agronomy. Actually, we work with agronomists in our university as well as other universities. But what we do is we bring in the satellite sensors onto the ground and measure ground remote sensing tools and build scientific relationships. And once we do that, we can scale that up to the satellite level so we can see everywhere. And all this knowledge has been integrated together to really use to improve our process-based models that we can simulate at very fine spatial resolution at a very accurate, high accuracy. And so in that process, we work very closely with computer science professors in the university that involve in machine learning. So this is actually this is a picture of Blue Waters. This is a supercomputer system of the University of Illinois, sponsored by the NSF, and it is the biggest supercomputer in this world, in the University of the US. And we use that on a daily basis. And so the work that I'm really doing is really trying to integrate different components of stuff together. So I call myself an eco-hydrologist, basically integrate ecology, plant physiology, biogeochemistry, and that's one aspect. And we also understand, try to bring the hydrology and surface processes, as well as the basic boundary layer atmospheric science part, primarily the climatology part. So I use a graph to illustrate these ideas. We try to understand and model the whole processes of what's going on the ground. And previously, I myself did a lot of work in the natural system. After I finished my PhD, I started to really intensively work on the agriculture in my postdoc as well in my current work. And so I describe my work as water, carbon, nutrient, food nexus. And water refers to water, obvious. Carbon specifically refers to crop productivity, biomass. And the nutrients, it's obvious. Nitrogen specifically in my current study domain. And food, because we all look at, I'm very particularly interested in Corn Belt. And so the project that we very lucky to get awarded by the NREC is really an interdisciplinary team. I myself is an eco-hydrologist, basically a remote sensing expert as well as a physical modeler. We also involve two agricultural economists, and including Gary Schnicke, who will present tomorrow, and but not in a different project, and Nick Paulson. Both Gary and Nick will work on this project from the economic angle. We also have another co-PI from Stanford, which is a long-term collaborator of mine, and will work together with me on the problem modeling. And you will see that in the collaborators list, you may recognize a few names that you guys may be familiar with. Jonathan Coppers is closely working with us. We work with Laura and Lindsay from the Illinois Farm Bureau. They are very supportive of my work and very greatly appreciate. And Elma Blaro, an agronomist who has collected a lot of cover crop data set. Okay, so the project motivation is really motivated by these different aspects. To start with, we are really interested in building a resilient agro-ecosystem. And when I define a resilient agro-ecosystem, I envision that we should maintain or continue to have higher productivity, but at the same time we have a sustainable environmental conditions, as well as farmers able to adopt these new practices with the economic viability, and which all connected very closely. And Corn Belt is a location that produces such a great amount of food for both US as well as worldwide. And so this is really the backbone of the USA economy. However, my question that I really want to address is, we believe cover crop is one of the ways to really improve the resilience of the ecosystem. However, the current understanding of the cover crop, especially the knowledge, is very localized. You may do a trial at some certain locations. How you extrapolate the knowledge that you gain from the trial to the broader regions, apply to every field, every farmer's sites, is a question. And so our work is really try to bridge that gap. And so this graph shows that over the time, what's the crop practice over the time about, mostly we are looking at corn soybean rotation, which shows in blue. And then we have some places some fields that continue doing corn, and small portion of the fields that are doing continuous soybean. And this is the state of Illinois data set. So the key science question we really try to address is as follows. The first one is how will cover crop interact and modify nitrogen cycle in the current and the future Midwest ecosystems. And so we really focus on the cover crop, and primarily we're looking at two types of cover crop. One is cereal rye, one is hairy batch. And cereal rye has been widely adopted, and hairy batch has also been discussed quite a bit, but that's a type of the cover crop that is very sensitive to temperature. And so whether we can really adopt these two and expand and assess their viability is really the target. And the approach that we are doing is primarily using the models. So we're going to take the advantage of all the existing, we try to take the advantage of as many data as possible collected historically from, NREC project or other projects in terms of cover crop from the trial studies or field level studies. And then we grab these data set, understand and try to model the processes at their field level, and then try to calibrate our model and then apply it in the real world. And so the second question we really try to assess is how long after adopting cover crop do farmers expect crop yield increase, soil fertility benefits, and economic return. And I think this is one of the key questions that farmers really care about because farmers need to see the viability. And usually the trial plot can only last for 3 years or 5 years, while you still may not really see the benefit of cover crop. You need a longer time. But we do that in a very rigorous way. We will use the field data to test and validate our model, so our model can really reproduce the historical pattern. And then we can let the model run to a slightly longer future with the uncertainty in mind. And so when we interpret results, we really try to bring the uncertainty aspect too. And so the third question that we really try to address is will, when, and how are cover crops suitable and benefit in the current climate as well as a warming future. So let's focus on the current climate. And I think farmers are really curious about whether my field is suitable for cover crop and how, in what way. And so we really hope to, by the end of our project, we really provide at each locations of the state to tell farmers like whether your field is suitable for whether cereal rye or hairy batch, and in what kind of practice and conditions, and what do you expect. And I assume or I expect not every will have the same consequences. So we will see a difference. Some locations may really favorable for cover crop, some locations may not. And I hope we're using these scientific rigorous studies, we can help people about that. And so eventually, fundamentally, we believe that to address these questions is an integrated assessment that really integrate the physical science, plant physiology, biogeochemistry, as well as the economics together. So that's why we put together a team that can really handle this project. So there are a few objectives that we really try to tackle. So after that, we will show some results that we have achieved. So the objective one is really the empirical analysis of pulling the existing data that we already collected through the data synthesis and literature review, as well as metadata analysis. So we actually work with Maria as well as Blaro in our university, and we try to establish connections with also Dr. Armstrong from Purdue University, try to collect their field trial data set across broader spatial skills and try to understand their cover crop data set. And so we are working on that. The second part of the project is really use a process-based model that we can find and simulate the nitrogen cycle as well as agricultural productivity. And I'm pretty proud that I think the model that we are doing is very sophisticated and probably one of the most frontier model or advanced models that we are using. I will say a few words about that in a few minutes. And remember, we have some handouts at the video. If you want to get it, you can grab one. And then objective 3 is really to assess the suitability and the potential benefit of cover crop. So basically, once we have a very calibrated model, well-calibrated model, we will throw that to every field and try to understand the suitability as well as the potential assessment. Last but not least, as I mentioned, that this is also an economic question. So we really try to bring the economic assessment into the picture. So we assume that, we hope that during the project period, in the first half part of the project, we hope to achieve 1 to 3, or at least have a good progress and the prototype. And then in the second half of the project, the economists really come in to address, use our model result to address, combine the farm level budget to assess whether putting a cover crop, whether they are benefiting or not. With that, because our model produce the potential crop yield scenarios that you may expect after you adopt cover crop or not. And so several aspects that we really look into. This is a relatively busy slide, but I don't want you to read it. I just want to mention a few things that I think we really will focus. And these are the knowledge that we discussed with farmers, discussed with cover crop researchers. We believe these are the few aspects that we really try to tackle. So the first one is growth condition, and as I mentioned, that cereal rye has been widely adopted. They are more resilient, but hairy vetch is very interesting cover crop, but it's very sensitive to temperature. So basically, what we are trying to see is at current climate, where are the locations that are suitable for putting cereal rye and hairy vetch. The hydrological suitability really refers to the aspect that whether we have enough water during the spring, during the winter, during the spring to really support the cover crop. And what we really care about is we don't want a cover crop to extend in the springtime, so they overgrow and take too much moisture, and so which would possibly affect the summer cash crop growth. And so we really want to assess that part too. And the management suitability, I have a slide to talk about that, but basically cover crop is needs to happen in a very narrow window. So you harvest in the fall, but you may apply some fertilizer, may not, but then you need to quickly plant the cover crop, and the cover crop needs to be terminated in spring before you really have a new cycle of growing season or cash crop. And so we are talking about a relatively very narrow window that you need to do a lot of stuff. And so we also want to simulate some of that in our model. Last but not least, as I mentioned, the economic side is extremely important, so we're going to do that too. And so with all of that said, I know there is a lot of suspicion about modeling. People talk about models, but you worry about whether you are getting something reasonable. And so I'm very upfront to tackle that question, and the way that we tackle this question is sort of different, and we do have some confidence that can solve some of the problems. So we actually use a lot of the satellite data in our work to really address that question. The way that we use satellite data is we basically want to see any crop, any farmland field that at very fine spatial resolution as well as very temporally high frequency. So ideally, we hope to see your field at everyday time, frequency, and so we know a lot of things ongoing, including practices, including crop growth conditions. And if you can see your field every day from satellite data, basically we also be able to detect whether you are growing cover crop or not. And so the problem of doing that, so that's the hope that we have. The problem of that is we look at the existing data set, the satellite data that are provided by the NASA or European Space Agency. They have these problems. You either have some satellite data which is very frequent, but they are very coarse resolution. So it's like 500 meters, you get your whole field in a pixel, you don't see much, or you cover a lot of neighboring fields. You have Landsat or Sentinel-2 data that is really high resolution, but they are less they are quite infrequent. And if you fly over, you get a cloud covered, your image basically has been messed up. You cannot use that. So this is the problem, that you have either or, you don't have both. And the challenge is very obvious. Now what we did is we come up with an algorithm that really can tackle these problems by doing a relatively simple fusion approach. So So basically what you are seeing on the left side and the right side, left side is, they are showing both Champaign County. The left side is the true color image. Basically you take airplane, you fly over Champaign, where you see, and this shows you last year from May to October. So focus on this basically tell you every field, their growth at 30-meter resolution. This side, I will show the animation again, but this side shows the crop productivity. This is the university. This is the airport, so for those who know Champaign a little bit. And so I'm gonna show the video again, but what this shows is that blue color means it's low productivity, the red color means it's high productivity, and what you will see in a minute, in a few seconds, is you will see a field will pop out at different pace because you grow corn sorting at different time. And then at around July and August, you will see every field reach to their peak time, and then you will see fields senescence at different stage. Different rate, and let's just look at that again. So focus on the right side, you will see that fields emerge at different rates, and it's all show up at a field level. And then in the middle of the growing season, everything corn sorting, they are doing a lot of productivities. And then once you pass that stage, you start to senescence at different phase, and then your crop gets cut. So this is a generic algorithm that we developed. We use this algorithm. We do not need to take commercial data set, but we just use the NASA satellite data from the public domain to generate these algorithms. There's a press release about that, but what's more important is that the algorithm is efficient enough that we can, of course it still takes a lot of supercomputing hours in blue waters, but we can now do this for the whole state of Illinois since 2000 till now for every field. So for example, your field in the South Illinois, if you're interested, we can pull out from our database to see every field in the past since 2000 till now, their crop growth conditions and the progress every day. Now with that, why I think this is pretty exciting, if you use 500 meters product, you get the crop conditions like this. This is similar satellite data as modest. But if you use fusion product, you get much finer spatial granularity. And we basically use this information, we can get to know a few things. First of all, sort of when did you sow, when did your crop condition reach to the flower stage, as well as you also be able to know from year to year the variability of your field. We can even know whether you are growing cover crop or not. And most importantly, you get some sense about your growth conditions as well as your crop condition. And so the fusion data that we developed, and I just showed you the animation, is this one. We also use Planet Labs cubic satellite data that we can go to 3-meter resolution. I'm not really trying to promote their product at all, even though we work with them. So this is Planet Labs data. But what we are doing is as good as Planet Lab at the field scale, and most importantly, this product needs to use our stuff to correct. But what I'm trying to tell is we have a very good handle about the satellite information at the field level. And then based on that, we use this information to integrate into our models and understand the processes. And so another thing that we are doing is we try to use satellite data to really looking at individual fields. We are not focused on a specific pixel, we look at any individual field. I will wrap up very soon. So the model that we are using is called EcoSys. This is a model that if you are in the academic world, this is a very complicated model that they really try to tackle the nitrogen cycle in a really different way compared with Century, absent these existing models, because they really try to explicitly take into account of the microbial activities. I am not an microbial biogeochemist, but I closely work with the model developer as well as the microbial biogeochemistry modelers outside of the university to really improve our models so we know what's going on. So to give you some ideas about what we are simulating. So this is actually shows you the nitrogen cycle at the field level. We use some site data from Nebraska where we have all the agronomic data set. So we can really look at the simulation. These are the total nitrogen pool. So you will see that these are the these are the mineralization of the residual organic carbon nitrogen pool, and then you will see when you apply the fertilizer, you will see different parts. And then for the crop growth, these are the nitrogen growth that over the time, what you will see is at some point all the nitrogen converted into the grain. There are other components. These specifically refers to leaf nitrogen, stem nitrogen, grain nitrogen, and the root nitrogen. And so we have a pretty good confidence about some of the data that we have. And when I talk about the suitability of the cover crop, I mentioned the time window. So the time window is really tight, and some of our study really try to focus on this time window. How can we really feed a cover crop and feel the benefits and get the benefits? And so this is a graph that we run our simulation at some site that try to understand the photosynthesis for different yield for corn and soybean rotation site, and from our observation as well as our simulation, and they can match very well. And so last but not least, I think water is very important. Our lab is doing a lot of work related to water. So basically, we try to also model how much water come out of a field. And so this is another animation that shows how much evapotranspiration happened from May to October in 2017 at a broader spatial scale. We did this using all sorts of satellite data, including geostationary satellite data, as well as some orbital data. So I won't go to too much detail about what this also provides another level of information about how much water leaving the agro ecosystem. And again, we use this information to construct our model. So basically, what I believe is that we take one of the most advanced model from the shelf. I'm not entirely developing that, but I'm closely working with the designer of the model. And then we use all sorts of the advanced satellite information to constrain the model, so we know what we are doing and try to have a better understanding about the nitrogen cycle as well as the benefit of cover crop. And so with that, I really appreciate the Illinois Farm Bureau as well as NREC support. Thank you very much.